participants to keep their microphones on mute. Thank you.
So, good evening, everybody. Namaskaram to all, and we begin today's session as we discussed last time baseline to benchmark. That is, what is the basic minimum that we all strive for, and then there is a benchmark that we all have to achieve. And the journey from baseline to benchmark is what we call the spirit of Gita. It is for not only Arjun, but Arjun represents all of us, one amongst us, and he or she can take the journey of mm, oneself from the inspiration of Arjun, especially the conversations in lucid Sanskrit that took place on the battlefield 5,000 years ago. None of these are very mm, esoteric or very difficult to decipher. They are very easy, they are very down to earth, practical, because they represent the issues of the common man in all contexts of life. Because the context of the battlefield of the Kurukshetra is practically a context which is a permanent, a kind of a continuous context that is happening across the world. There are exploitative forces, there are mean mentalities, there are very shrewd but cunning mindsets which are there in the world to drown the voices, the spirit, and the attitude of truth. What is the truth? What is that what is that we want to stand for? What is that we want to worth give up or give the fight for, is what the Gita informs all of us. So not taking too much into the specifics, the topic for today is based on the Sankhya, or the analytics of life, which is a conversation by Sri Krishna, especially teachings of Sri Krishna to Arjun, which are categorized in the second chapter of the Gita. So they will be very, very helpful for us, because they will shall help us put life in perspective, and they should also make us aware of our strengths, our lost potentials which we haven't uh, groomed, because we thought our lives were meant for the most basic things in life that everybody wants, is a good home, a good financial situation, a content life. But you will see in the chapter or the specific verses of the Gita in this second chapter is that none of these are being addressed, in the sense that it is being addressed on the terms of foundations, the basics on which we ought to build our life. So this is the conversation which begins when Arjun is thoroughly perplexed as what is his duty, what does he want, what does he feel will be the outcome of the war, the kind of analysis he makes in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, or in the battlefield. जो जब शुरुआत में ही अर्जुन प्रश्न किए जा रहे भगवान से कि इसमें तो मेरे सारे सगे संबंधी है, इसमें मेरे अपने जन ही हैं, और इतने सारों का युद्ध में इतने लोगों का की हत्या होना और उनका विध्वंस होना, उनके परिवारों में इतने सारे कठिनाई जो आएंगे, तो वो क्या ये युद्ध में जीत, या फिर मेरी ही जीत, या पांडवों की जीत, क्या ये सबके दुखों को निपट सकते हैं? द काइंड ऑफ अमाउंट ऑफ compensation for the outcome of the war, that is the victory of our ours, will it compensate for the loss of so many lives of people, and disruption in people's families, homes? So is it worth it? So yes, Arjun's question was very vague, very, very genuine question. Everyone should look for seeing the ratio of outcome versus impact. Suppose like what is the or what outcome of the impact versus the investment that we are making. Everyone in life always sees what kind of investment that we have, that we see what work that will generate is what we look for every process. So here also Arjun, in a very standard in a leader, as a leader would think, he has been thinking, and Sri Krishna, who is God himself, but has taken the role of a charioteer. उन्हें सारथी का एक अच्छा एक रोल निभाया इसमें, जिसमें अर्जुन के रथ, जीवन के रथ को वो सुंदर तरीके से उनको निर्देशन दे रहे हैं। किस प्रकार से निर्देशन दे रहे हैं? जिससे कि कहकर भी अर्जुन को न कहना और न कहकर अर्जुन को समझाना। ये गीता में बहुत बार कहा गया है, जैसे कि बहुत बार ये होता है कि इसमें नहीं पता चलता कि किसके लिए भगवान कह रहे हैं या क्यों ऐसा कह रहे हैं, कि इसमें बहुत सारे तर्क वितर्क हो सकते हैं। परंतु अर्जुन ने जो प्रश्न किए जा रहे हैं, वो प्रश्न में सतत ये अपेक्षा होती है अर्जुन की कि वो सत्य और जो सत्य का मार्ग है, वो मार्ग को ढूंढते हुए आगे कैसे बढ़े और वो सत्य का मार्ग को निर्धारित हो जाए, ये मार्ग है। परंतु ये मार्ग तक पहुंचना भी एक बड़ी संघर्ष है। इसलिए गीता में अर्जुन को भगवान ने बहुत सारे मार्ग बताए हैं। आप देखेंगे तो दूसरे अध्याय में सांख्य है, तीसरे में कर्म योग है, चौथे में ज्ञान योग, पांचवें में निष्काम कर्म योग, छठे में ध्यान योग, सातवें में विभूति और शक्ति के योग, भगवान की शक्ति के योग के द्वारा विराट रूप दर्शन, विराट रूप दर्शन योग, बहुत ही गुह्य ज्ञान योग, वेरी कॉन्फिडेंशियल नॉलेज, और उसके पश्चात भक्ति योग, क्षेत्रज्ञ योग, गुण त्रैगुणीय विभाग योग, 3 गुणों के प्रभाव के अनुसार किस प्रकार से लोगों को देखा जा सकता है, एनालिसिस किया जाता है, फिर कोई निर्णय लिया जा सकता है। इसलिए सतत गीता के सारे अध्यायों में एनालिटिक्स इतने स्पष्ट रूप से है कि इसको एनालिसिस और फिर बाद में डिसीजन लिया गया है। इट इज नेवर अ स्क्रिप्चर और रिलीजन वेयर पीपल जस्ट फॉलो things because they were being told. Contrary to what people generally think, is religion or scripture is a set of instructions where people just follow what is being told without analyzing it, without reviewing it. Contrary to that, Gita is a very down to earth conversation which is revolves or centers around an conversation based on analytics or analysis. So analytics from the second chapter of the Gita is what we're going to discuss today. I guess for the benefit of all of you, I can share the shlokas and the translation, which will be helpful for all of you to understand a few things a little clear. Is everyone able to see the screen very clearly? Anyone of the audience can vouch for just giving us the feedback. Is it clear? You can see the whole.
Yes, sir, it's very clear, Prabhuji, very clear.
Yes. So this is, I'm going to take one cryptic Sanskrit word, which will help us to also very deeply analyze, at the same time very practically review the outcome of what would happen if we use this to analysis in our life. So asocyan, when Arjuna is being thinking of quitting, basically escaping the war, or keep putting a pause on his actions, anything that he would like to do is only after a thorough analysis, a thorough outcome oriented review, and therefore he is not willing to take a decision without a thorough analysis. And all grace, all marks to Arjun for doing that. Had he not asked this question, this analysis wouldn't have come to us. So Krishna says, the first reply for analysis is that asocyan and asocasvam pragyavanam sabhasase Gatasum agatasumscha nanu sochanti pandita. Very simple in language in all of, if you see it very simply, it explains that Arjun asocyan, sochati means uh, dukh karna, lamentation. ये नहीं हुआ, ये नहीं हो रहा है, ये सोच ये सोचती, lamentation is going to be a theme of the Gita. Will actually everybody thinks that whatever has happened is not happened, is not happening nicely, or whatever in the past was not so good, or what in the future is not going to be good. So that idea that runs when those kind of thoughts run in your mind, you land up in such lamentation that you don't feel encouraged. This lamentation is the beginning of depression. Imagine if Arjun was not treated with analysis at the right time, he would have gone into depression. Because if a person goes into the negative thought process, like what Arjun is going through, without enlightenment, many times people think, what is the cure for depression? Cure for depression is enlightenment. People with misplaced priorities, people with unknown direction in life, have no other way but to get lost in their thoughts. Their mind takes them away, their thoughts take them away from the truth, from the correct kind of work, and therefore they get lost, not knowing what their duty is, what their life is all about. इसलिए गीता में बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से कहा गया है कि ये सोचती is the beginning of a chronical depression kind of thing which Arjun may have got into. Therefore, sochati is not good. And Arjun is saying that I am bound to be lamenting. And he was justifying his lamentation. Therefore, Krishna says that is not in your interest. Huh? Those who are mourning are not those whom you are mourning for, or what you are mourning for, is not worthy of grief. Nanu sochanti panditaha. Anva sochastam. Anva socha means that you are lamenting is asocyan, is not worthy of lamentation. Means not. So Arjun, what you are thinking of those consequences and the kind of actions will lead to those consequences are not worthy of lamentation, Arjun. Therefore, the idea most of the time people feel is something is bracketed in life as very good or very bad, or bad and good. I remember a story. Often we used to narrate this story when there's a farmer in a village. Anytime something wonderful in the village, everyone was very instantaneous in their reactions, in their analysis. So वो कभी भी होते थे तो बोलते थे कि जो भी हुआ या तो अच्छा होगा या बुरा होगा. So once upon a time, there's a poor farmer. He didn't have anything. Somehow, other one day he found some horses, 2 or 3 horses lying about outside his home. So everyone started saying, "अरे बहुत अच्छा हुआ, very good, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा. आपके घर के में बहुत घोड़े मिल गए आपको." Somehow other, his young son, hardly in his teens, 15, 16, he started riding the horse and he fell from the horse and broke his bones. Everybody lamented, saying that अच्छा नहीं हुआ, बहुत बुरा हुआ, बहुत बुरा हुआ. So they said this. Suddenly, after some time, in the same time, there was a war that this kingdom was going through, the state was going through with the other state, and they had drafted all teenagers from 15 onwards from the villages to go for the war. Everyone was selected, everyone was pushed, except this young man who was not sent to the war because he had broken his bones. He was not fit for it. So everyone said, very good, बहुत अच्छे, बच गए, आपका बेटा नहीं जा रहा है. But imagine that if everything in our life we always bracketed in bad and good, and constantly became affected by the outcome of the decisions, let them affect our current actions, is what Gita is avoiding us to get going through. Our current actions are not going to be affected by the past or by the regret of the past or the fear of the future. They have ought to be in the present, and in the present to be seen in the correct perspective. जो सही दृष्टिकोण है, भगवान उसको दिखा रहे कि नानु सोचंती पंडिता गतासुंस अगतासुंस, that which has not passed and also which has passed, Those who are wise do not lament for neither for the living nor for the dead. Now, very important to understand is that in this practical understanding is that uh, Arjun was giving uh, argument that the real emphasis should be given to uh, uh, principles or religious principles of being morally honest and all of that, which was very good. But then there was something that was not backing up his idea of sociology or politics or even religion, was that there was no knowledge backing out his justification. And what was his justification? Loss of his near and dear ones, loss of the family, loss of lives of so many people. Now, the whole goal in this conversation is that Arjun is being brought to the idea. Arjun, what prioritizes your decision is the knowledge that you are awakened to. If you are awakened to the idea that everything is around me is perishable, everything around me is destructible, then whatever we see in our life is either with insecurity, fear, or with attachment. What you have, you want to preserve. What you lose, you fear losing it, or you will lament when you lose it. So anything that is perishable makes us insecure. Now imagine Krishna is saying anything which is perishable is bound to be lost. Therefore, there is no point thinking over that this is going to be lost or we will lose and we will become insecure after losing it, or will become sad after losing it, because this is bound to be lost. Therefore, the boundaries are very, very nicely defined. That which is perishable is not worth lamenting for. Now, that is what the Gita cryptic, the first cryptic is lamentation. Asocian, do not lament. That means the matters of spirit and matters of the temporary matter, the spirit and matter has to be completely uh, kind of dissected, the idea, the difference between that. And then the focus is explained, Arjun, these all the people whom you see are destined to die anyways. Are they going to be killed? They're going to die, or whatever is going to happen. But imagine the next slok says, or Krishna says, is again focusing on the spirit. Now imagine we only talked about one thing. Everything is perishable in this world. So do not care, do not worry, and keep going on. But there is nothing to preserve. Immediately Krishna is explaining that in the second shlok, na tu evam jatunasham, na tu neme janadipa, na chaiva bhavishyama sarve vayam ataparam. There was never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be. This is explained as the permanent, the perishable and the permanent. One should understand the analysis of the permanent and the perishable and then take a decision, prioritize your life. The one which does not degenerate is the individuality, is the identity. And once you lose your identity, you lose your connect with your own identity, there's no one else that they can help you. It's only you, your awareness of your identity is the individuality that you are very known to yourself, is something that is your friend. No one else can take place, can take part, or even get you to uh, mm, uh, live your life the way you should be, as a person should be, is then a person who oneself becomes awakened to that individuality. And that is the analysis that has been done here. Arjun, these kings were there, I were existing. you also were existing, and the future also they will exist. That means their bodies are going to be perishable, but their individuality, their identity continues to exist beyond these bodies, because they travel, or their journey continues even after the death, so-called death of the body. The body dies, the spirit never dies. This is very nicely explained. So therefore, death uh, is the motivation of, or death is the destination of the people who have no idea of the analysis between matter and spirit, and eternity is the motivation for those who have understood this analysis. Now imagine, it doesn't make you free from death if you know it, know the analysis, and even if you don't know the analysis, it's not that you will not die or you will not feel the pain of death. Either ways, the death is there. The missing point is that you don't have the motivation, or you don't have the energy to drive yourself beyond the fears and the ordinariness of this world, is what is called the the samsara, the cycle. Therefore, there is a cycle that is explained also in the Gita. Hmm. Very nicely, Shri Krishna explains. Definitely, then it comes to the cycle. Arjun, the cycle is this. There's cycle for two things in life. There's cycle for the body, and there's cycle for the time. Dehi nosmin yatha dehi kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhirastatra namoyati. That means, as the embodied soul passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Now, what depresses or what disturbs us is the change. We want to resist the change. We want to things to remain as they were, because then we are very comfortable handling what we're handling for such a long time. And therefore, ये जब होता है कि लोगों को जो परिवर्तन है, वो परिवर्तन में कष्ट होता है कि क्योंकि हमें वो स्थिति या वो परिस्थिति की इतनी आदत थी कि हम उसे आसक्त हो जाते हैं. हाँ, a boy or a young girl does not want to be old. The old wants to be young. Hmm. The young, the very young, the very adolescent or very um, kind of pre-teen years, they want to grow young, faster, quicker. Everybody wants to come to a phase where it is just perfect. The perfect body, the perfect age, the perfect energy, the perfect uh, drive in life. In fact, there was a king who wanted such a permanence. He said, I would want a life of permanency, and I heard that Swarg is the best. The heavens is the best destination where the happiness goes on for a long, long time. But then said that, imagine, but I'm used to what I have in my life here, and I don't know what's going to happen there. So, what he called his minister and asked, what can I carry? Can I carry any of these things which I have? I would really want this royal life, this regal life to go on, even if I'm there. I want to be sure I don't want to change. He said, sir, you can, mm, mm, what you see is there in those lives. The life is something some similar to what you are living. So probably you won't be able to do that, but you will get everything what you want. And everything is there except one thing. There are a bit of few mosquitoes out there. And you know what happens when there's a mosquito enough. A mosquito enough is good enough to make your life miserable. Uh, so he said, okay, but then there's a good thing. Uh, you have a nice protection in form of mosquito nets. They are huge. They are very huge ones. But I also heard that they get bit torn and bit worn off. So there might be holes in them. There are some possibilities that you could be bitten by a mosquito even after you are reaching out there. So there will be some kind of uncertainty. And then he said, that, but then you're allowed to carry a needle from here when you go to Swarg. And then the king realized, do you think I'll be able to carry even a needle to the other world, even if I have to die? People have a concept of Swarg and Narak, but imagine it's something only that your deeds are carried to your next destination, because you as an individuality only carry the credits which are connected to your identity, to your existence, your actions, the outcome of your actions. So imagine what you are investing in the body, in the upkeep, in the insurance, in the kind of different investments are all for the bodies of the near and dear ones. What is the investment in our own life? The analysis when it comes is something that you carry are the good deeds, the spiritual deeds that you do, the elevation of your knowledge that you carry. So it always behooves a person to become more better person by becoming a more humane person, by developing the good deeds, by doing the good deeds and by good thoughts, by living on the principles of truth. So therefore, asociam is definitely one is there. But what is the principle that we will not be asocian, not lamenting? Understanding this cycle. The cycle of the body is the cycle where everything comes to a circle, in close circle, life and death. But something is a cycle of time also. Is come the good times come and the bad times come. Eventually, a cycle comes when again the good times begin and the bad times come. So there is a human cycle of time. Therefore, when all of these come, then comes the most important aspect of life, which is matra sparshas to konte. The whole explanation is very clear. Where Krishna says, Tam titikshasva bharata. Arjun, if you really want to be balanced in these kind of dualities, what you need is sheer tolerance और sheer resilience. रेजिलियंस का अर्थ है कि आप में वो इच्छाएं हैं, वो अंदर की क्षमता बन चुकी हैं कि आप ये सबको बहुत बहुत ही इक्विपॉइज्ड वे में आप उसको कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हैं. वो आपको they don't affect you. Therefore, this also happens. Krishna says, Arjun, just like the passing of the winter and the summer seasons, just like the uh, the honor and dishonor that a person receives. There is humiliation, there is appreciation, but they arise from sense perception, Arjun. Therefore, this is important to understand that one must not give up one's path, the one's path of duty, even in a lives of dualities. So, tam titikshasva bharata means you just tolerate and keep doing your best. I also explained the story of a soldier who was actually running away from the enemy ranks, and he happened to find himself in hiding in a cave, but the cave had a mouth which is open. Eventually, he knew that he will be discovered. He started praying very hard. He started to hide himself very, very smartly, but his boots, his shoes could be seen. And then he was praying. What will happen is that he wanted to avoid being caught, and he was praying to God. And he prayed to God that please send a wall between these people and me and the door of the cave, so that people could put a boulder there. कहाँ से पत्थर गिर के गिर जाए बीच में तो कोई देख नहीं पाएगा. So then he saw in very short time we could hear the noises of the approaching enemy soldiers. At the same time, he saw a spider very swiftly making a web. तो पूरा जाला बना के कर दिया उसने. दो चार मिनट में बहुत फटाफट उसने जाला बना दिया उसने. और जाला बनाने के बाद भी उसको पैर तो सामने से दिख रहे थे, लेकिन जिस एंगल से वो शत्रु वहां पे आए, उन्होंने देखा कि ये गुफा में तो पक्का गया होगा, लेकिन उन्होंने देखा कि वहां पे बहुत जाले थे. तो सोचा जाले होंगे तो कोई एंट्री तो किया ही होगा. तो एंट्री किया हो तो जाले नहीं होने चाहिए. अगर एंट्री नहीं और अगर जाले है मतलब यहाँ पे कोई नहीं है. Very far off, they happened to leave that place and said, let's go and search for him the other direction. That's how he went. This he was saved, and he then realized a very nice quote. Then when you pray very nicely and you pray very fervently, when you try your best and leave the rest to God, you realize that even a spider's web becomes a stone wall. But if you are not doing your best and leaving the rest to God, then probably a stone wall also can become as vulnerable as a spider's web. It all depends upon how we do not give up our effort. Giving up effort and escaping from it is the greatest tragedy that can happen. Therefore, it is being said to Krishna Arjun Titikshva, Titikshava, tolerate. Tolerate these dualities and go through that phase. We'll find yourself coming to light. Just that dark phase is going to go away. Arjun, let this dark phase also go in the war and we'll see the bright side of it. So all of us eventually have to come to a situation where there is going to be a dark phase in our life. But the dark phase does not remain for long, just as probably the bright phase doesn't remain for long. And all of these dark and bright phases of life are going to come and go. Therefore, one should not stop ourselves from doing the right thing, doing the duty. And therefore, this keeps us going. This keeps us motivated towards what? Motivated towards the truth, the real life. Therefore, Krishna explains that in the text 16, this is going to be the turning point, the prioritizing point, the point where we have to set up our priorities is nasate vidyato bhava na bhava vidyate satah ubayor api drishtontas to anuyastatu darshiti. Those who are seers of truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, the body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. This analysis, drishtaha, ubhaya, sataha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. That means the sataha, the ubhayo of the two, drishtaha, conclusion, drishta anta. Ubhaya drishta anta very nicely explains that there are two phases or two kinds of uh, happenings in life. One is eternal, which doesn't change, and one is temporary, which is always, which of it there is no endurance. Now, this becomes very sure in our life when we live our life on these platforms. Therefore, to live a life which is spiritual means to invest in spirituality as the core foundation, the core values that we believe in. So, what would spirituality mean? Spirituality mean that we are simply giving and receiving from the energy, which is the energy coming from truth, energy coming from Satya, energy that sustains everything, Dharma. Dharma word means that which sustains. Sustains means that which maintains the sanctity of the truth. The truth which is never allowed to degenerate. That is what is called dharma. That means we constantly propagate or constantly practice the environment and the cultural practices of awakening that spirituality within us, which is our individuality. And that is done through very nice groomed set of practices which allow us to discover ourselves as the individual, the spiritual within us by meditation, by introspection, by application of knowledge, and therefore we invest in things which are close to eternity. Therefore, in the worship of in the worship culture of the Vedic wisdom, there are trees, there was sun, there is wind, there are elements of nature which were worshipped. Nowadays, people who are having wealth, beauty, so-called opulence are being worshipped. But in the yesteryears, these were considered the close to eternal elements. Therefore, the trees were worshipped. Therefore, they said one should preserve the nature. One should live close to nature because the nature also resembles very closely our own true innate behavior, our true identity, which is close to it. Because our physical selves also are the part of the nature that we are born of. So now maintaining the harmony between our innate and the external nature gives us the harmony to in or uninterruptedly accessing ourselves. The more we put the barriers between our internal and external natures, we are creating a lot of imbalance within our own minds. The mind is, instead of focusing on the inner self, is fighting the war between the internal and the external. Therefore, it is said that we need to come to this value, and therefore there are systems of yoga and Ayurveda. When we practice the systems of Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyan Yoga or even Ayurvedic understandings of the body types and psychology, we come to understanding that there is Vat, Pit, Kaph. All of these things are very closely connected to our innate and even the external natures. So therefore, a place of life, in the place of spirituality in our life, is the practice of this cultural and practice of these eternal principles which are very close to our nature, the physical self. But the spiritual self is given that went when we stop struggling to maintain that imbalance of harmony. Therefore, Krishna speaks that how can the sun rise when the sun is uncovered from the clouds? And what are the clouds? The clouds of misconception that we are the bodies. Now, when we are going to become very refined in our life in terms of our thoughts, we need to make sure that whatever we live is free from exploitation. For our sustenance, for our living, we need to care for others to thrive and not become extinct. In fact, the way that world is living right now, it's going to be extinction of species and extinction of resources. This is truly not a spiritual culture. A spiritual culture means everything sustains, everything progresses, everything expands. And that expansion takes place when one becomes very, very sensitive to these elements of nature. The more we connect to the nature out and the inside, the more the spiritual cultivation happens. The more environmentalism that we try to practice in our life, the more ecologically we become sensitive, the more uh, sociologically we become aware. We realize that we have a role to play beyond our own very limited concerns. When we actually become a part of the larger creation, where we discover our role in the creation, we have reached our spiritual potential. And that's what Arjun is being has been becoming prodded to. Arjun, your goal that you're thinking is you're going to avoid something, a disaster like this war. But imagine the kind of disaster that would happen if Duryodhan and his greedy company continue to exploit the subjects with their very wild and wicked tendencies. Arjun, be a leader and invoke the power of harmony and balance with your elevated consciousness. Consciousness which sees the welfare and the harmony within and without. So therefore, it's a spiritual person is an ecological person. A spiritual person is is a sociologically sensitive and aware individual. A spiritual person is a very content And a satisfied person, actually that will be explained in our sessions also forthcoming as to what is the sthita pragya. Therefore, sat and asat is what been explained. Satah and asatah. Na bhavo vidyate, na asate vidyate bhavo. That means asata means that of the non-existence. There is no endurance. And there is sat, there is no changing. There is abhava, changing quality. Never, no abhava. That means there are two things in life that we need to survive on: understanding of Sat and Asat. Truth that that exists, continues, the individuality, the self, the soul, the balance, the harmony that continues, that remains long. That environment of Sat is what our life supposed to be prioritizing on, and the uh, uh, the whole explanation of this is telling Arjun to believe in the power of the soul, which never destroys, which never is destructible, and therefore Arjun live in this culture of endurance, live in the culture of spirituality, become spiritual, understand the role of a spiritual person in all phases of life, and become internally balanced person by maintaining, by being a contributor of harmony with the externals. So all the shlokas that you see till here, now for the soul there is no birth. Definitely when the people, when someone near and dear one dies, we definitely come to this shlok. So the whole explanation for this analytics is that we need to reframe our perspective in life, where it comes to more idea of the eternal aspect of life compared to that which is prone to perish, perishable and permanence. Sometimes we need to use the perishable for a permanent outcome. So this war was a perishable outcome, but to revive the permanent principles, the principles of permanence. Therefore, sometimes things have to be broken, sometimes things have to be changed. Therefore, so as that the permanency or the principles of permanence are installed or instilled. Therefore, this is explained that this shlok explains Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu dhruvam chinda mritasya tasma apariharyarthe na tom sochitam arasi. One who has taken birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of a duty, you should not lament. Therefore, death is going to come, but while we live, we have overcome the phenomenon of death by becoming eternal within, by awakening to that eternal aspect of life, where we see that there is the larger contribution of my life beyond just walking towards the destination which is just for the ordinary world. Ordinary destination for the ordinary people is death. But someone who has lived one life with true awakening and spirituality has so much to contribute in this world, thus making that person immune to the outcome of the fear and the temporariness or the perishability of the phenomenon of the death of the body. When the fear of the matter goes, is when the courage of the spirit is awakened. Therefore, this is very nice, and ultimately, for one to do that, one has to become. This is explained by Sri Krishna that Swadharma Vichaveksha na vikampitum arasi dharma yuddha dharmyadhi yuddha cheyo anyasya kshatriyasya nividyate. Considering a specific duty as a kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, on these principles, and so that there is no heed, there is no need for hesitation. Swadharma means awakening your true innate nature with your certain qualities, with your certain abilities, which you need to uh, unleash to completely express the power of spirituality within you. A nature, the talent, the abilities, the contribution that you can do using your position, your role in society, your nature, your strengths, use your strengths to completely express the spirituality, the spiritual principles in life, in and around you. This will make you free from lamentation. So this is what we discussed today, prioritizing in a way that one is not subjected to lamentation, one is not subjected to socham, sochati, and one becomes very aware spiritually. And when one becomes aware spiritually, one contributes to harmony and balance everywhere and every time. I thank you all of you for being a patient listener. I guess we have time for queries, as this is a conversation. Like to hear from you your thoughts on the about discussion. Or open to the forum.
आप सभी लोग प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं प्रभु जी को। प्रश्न डायरेक्टली अनम्यूट करके भी पूछ सकते हैं या चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हैं। पहली चीज तो ये प्रायोरिटाइजेशन के लिए प्रभु जी ने बहुत अच्छी तरह से बताया एक्चुअली कि मुझे भी मेरे जो डाउट्स इनफैक्ट कुछ है तो आई विल ट्राई टू एक्सप्रेस, लेकिन प्रभु जी ने बहुत अच्छे तरह से आंसर करने का प्रयास किया। लेकिन वो क्वेश्चन मेरे माइंड में और जागा है। अगर प्रायोरिटाइजेशन, जिंदगी में तो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं प्रभु जी करने के लिए। ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे ये भी करना चाहिए, मेरे घर के कार्य करने चाहिए, बच्चों को देखना चाहिए, उनको पढ़ाना चाहिए, मेरे ऑफिस के कार्य है, समाज के कार्य है, देश के कार्य है। तो बहुत ज्यादा मतलब चैलेंजेस आते हैं प्रायोरिटाइजेशन करने में भी। तो इसके ऊपर कुछ आप मार्गदर्शन करेंगे क्या?
जब आपके पास इतने सारे चैलेंजेस होते हैं कि आपको सारे चीज़ को करते हुए प्लान करना होता है, तो आपको समझना चाहिए कि आपको काफ़ी चीज़ को इंटीग्रेटेड वे में देखना पड़ेगा। आपको काफ़ी चीज़ को क्लब करते हुए देखना पड़ेगा, और आपको देखना भी पड़ेगा कि ये सारा इंटीग्रेशन में है। What you are doing for yourself is actually becoming helpful for your family to do better. Because if you increase your own potential, you are helping everyone that you come in contact with yourself. Therefore, it is said that, and then when you take a family out to help a cause or take involved in a cause, you are helping them also grow. At the same time, you're also caring for the social aspect of contribution. So in that aspect, I would like to say that, okay, there are at least some 5 or 6 occasions in everybody's family's life where there's an anniversary, आपके घर में birthdays होंगे, कुछ भी होंगे. So that is a time to share with the world, with the people around you, right? So it becomes a part of the family. It becomes a celebration. It also becomes a contribution. That is one part that can be practically very feasibly done. I would say that, okay, there is a daily activity where there will be bird feeders, there will be water for the birds, animals out around us in the societies or wherever that you get opportunity. Make sure you can also care for some plant, or maybe someone is taking care of your trees or forest somewhere in some place for your compensation of the pollution that we are accounting for. The second aspect is that the family also needs to be groomed in this idea. So this discussions and conversations of spirituality has to be taken from your level to the level of the family, but your family also becomes the kind of the aware spiritual awakened individuals, and they take on the legacy thereafter. So investing in the family is also a part of a very critical part of this management. But social contributions and cultural contributions, definitely you can take occasions. If you're going to take a trip outside for your family, go to a place where you can spiritually and culturally also contribute in that location. And therefore, we used to have Tirtha Yatras. Tirtha Yatras were not simply people going for only religious rites, but also going in a way that there will be spiritual recreation in those places. So there are immense ways to contribute. Only that we have to take the opportunities and club things together by which these things can be managed very easily. Does that partially answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Integration is the key. Thank you very much.
So, Hemanji is asking that how to be a continuous research in this field of spirituality, especially when so much of rampant materialism is being seen across. It is probably because of too much of media that is taking place around us, so much of bombardment of media. It is a time to turn into these books of wisdom. Definitely try to read at least half an hour to 45 minutes a day from a book of wisdom like Gita or the Mahabharata. A lot of wisdom is in the Mahabharata also. You can get a copy of the Mahabharata at the Gita Press Gorakhpur copy, where you actually can read the translated verses from Sanskrit to Hindi. You will actually realize there's unlimited wealth of wisdom in the Mahabharata, and you cannot stop just ruminating over that. Those thoughts have to be going in your mind constantly. So that's important to constantly take to a spiritual wisdom and disconnect from the media, the bombardment that is happening around you. You have to go deep into the wisdom of the books. uh, I hope that will also solve the problem on the long term basis, Hemant. How can Kushang is asking, how can recreation in spare time can be connected to spirituality? It is said that recreation can be yoga yukto. It has to be yukta, has to be connected to a very uplifting cause. So when you are going out, you can decide a place where you want to do a trekking. To probably even we also go for any kind of a trek. We take a fort in Maharashtra, or we take a very a place where a lot of wisdom was probably shared in those locations, and we again connect while trekking, while having a recreation. We also gather wisdom on the way. So find places where you can seek to meet people while you travel, while you read, while you play. There are a lot of yogic games that we have also in our foundation introduced, where actually we can play without any props, but we can learn a lot and we can really enjoy that recreation time. So even yoga can be a recreation, travel can be a recreation, reading books can be a recreation, meeting nice people and discussing with them is a good kind of conversation is also a recreation. Definitely all these things help a lot. So I guess if there are no questions, we can.
Prabhuji,
Yes,
I have one question
yes.
today. This we are learning from long times that we are not permanent because we have to die on some day. But whenever some near or nearby some person expires or die, then we are not able to. Again, we do the lamentation. How to stop that?
See, Arjun
We
also,
are really affected because of that.
you can be affected but not become what you call. You cannot become uh, mm, permanently disturbed. So basically, uh, what we need to understand is that there will be some sorrow if someone passes away. Definitely, that emotion has to be there, but that emotion should not come in the way of our duty. If Arjun has lost Abhimanyu, he is feeling sorrow, he is feeling anger, but he hasn't stopped fighting. So I would say that, of course, use those emotions very positively to overcome your sorrow. Also to become more stronger in the aspect of the understanding of this non-permanence also. So these are experiences for us to be very strongly rooted in the culture of permanence. So definitely, this is going to be an opportunity for you if you take it the right way. This will happen that you will become more sober and you'll be more focused on the permanent aspect of God's existence, that is the soul, and also in the God's role for all of us in this creation. So be sure
Yes.
that you're going to take this opportunity. Don't lose this opportunity. It is not. It's not. Uh, it's not something that you're losing. You're actually gaining through this experience. Remind again and again, and be fixed in doing our spiritual duties despite these sorrows.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhankarji. So, any other question? So I guess we will conclude for the evening. I'm very grateful for all of you to be there with us, and we hope that you'll all be there in our forthcoming sessions. I again humbly thank all of you for being a participant in this very meaningful conversation. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
You can mute, everyone can mute oneself, and हम प्रभु जी के प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करेंगे 3 बार लाउडली चैंट करके हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। और आप सभी का भी धन्यवाद। मिलेंगे अगले रविवार को शाम को 5 बजे। तब तक के लिए स्वस्थ रहिए, तंदुरुस्त रहिए, खुद का ख्याल रखिए, अपनी फैमिली का भी ख्याल रखिए।